Guys, happy Tuesday. This is Coach Mike coming to you live in the Anxiety Free Executive Facebook group, and hope everyone's having a terrific day. And thanks for being in our group. And what our group is for, guys, our group is really one purpose: to help people live their best life. So when I founded the Anxiety Free Executive, even years before that, when I was coaching people. So when I just started to coach people, the goal was to help people live their best life, right? And somebody like myself, who was committed to living their best life as a young adult, I couldn't get there, and I was tripping all over myself. And I didn't know what anxiety was, but I had it, and I had stress, and I had conflict and chaos. Outwardly, I was, very fun guy, committed, smart. I guess I hate to use that term arrogantly, but I wasn't. And committed to success and helping people. I coached kids sports before my kids were born. I just always wanted to give back in some way, shape, or form, but I was a mess. It was an absolute mess. So it was really, say hello if you're watching. Love to say hello to you. I was really in this place of hell, emotional, mental hell, and I had a life that was up, down, and I had a lot of great things and a lot of really crappy things happened, and I was in fact a big shit show trying to grind through life. And then when everything fell apart in my life, I thought, okay, the worst case scenario has happened, but I had 3 young kids who were counting on me. I was responsible for bringing them into this world, and I said, I got to fix this, and I've got a bright future ahead of me. I was young, in my 30s, and I thought, okay, I've got to make sure that I fix this so I could live the life that I want to live moving forward, and I deserve to live moving forward, as everyone deserves a great life, and I can help other people. But I didn't even helping other people was on the back burner for now, even though I was a coach before that, because I'm thinking, if I don't fix my stuff, then then I'm no good to anybody, which I hope you can relate to that. So when I became a coach, started the Anxiety Free Executive, the Anxiety Free Student, and started this group, it's with one goal and one goal only: to pull the curtain back on mental health, human behavior, personal development, and pull the curtain back on all that and show people what the mind really is, how the mind really works, and give you the tools to live your best life. And everyone that's in hell finds me, and they're skeptical, and they start questioning things, and they start wondering, can this really be true? Can he really help people? You know who doesn't question that? Everyone that's come through our program. They not only come through our program, we get glowing comments and reviews every single day from people, videos, and our clients are vehemently trying to get other people into this program because they were struggling and they know they found the answer. It's like, it's sliced bread. Think about back when sliced bread is. I'm going to compare my program to sliced bread right here. But it's like, hey, you don't have to get this big rock of a bread. We got sliced bread already pre-sliced for you, and they'll sell it to you a slice, and you can just make a sandwich if you want to make a sandwich. Anyway, but no, it is that good, but I had to discover it first. So I was skeptical too when I was learning about different way of doing things. And I was at a conference last week with a lot of people, and everywhere we go out. So I was at a conference last week, was approached by 4 people at this conference out of 30 about helping a family member with anxiety, stress, depression, etc. I went to celebrate somebody's birthday party last night, a sunset at the beach here in Florida, and I was approached there. Everywhere I go, I'm approached, but people are so freaking skeptical, and they're so hesitant, and they've tried so many other things, and what if this doesn't work? And here's why everyone's so skeptical. It has nothing to do with me in the program. It's because of gaslighting. It really is. And if you don't understand, number one, you don't have to, anxiety, they're normalizing anxiety, which I get to in a minute when I talk about gaslighting, but I want to give you the definition of gaslighting in case you don't know, which you probably do. And you've probably been gaslighted by other people, but I'm telling you how you're being gaslighted. They want you to think that anxiety, and when I say they, I don't want to sound like this nutty conspiracy theorist, but I got news for you. Everybody's in business to make money. So these drug companies, these doctors, these therapists, everybody goes to school because they want to make money. And yes, there's a lot of people out there that want to help people, but the drug companies, all these Klonopins and these Adderalls and all these people, they have a board that they're responsible to show profits to every quarter, and they're in business to make money. They don't care about saving lives. They don't care if people live a good life or a bad life. When they're at their board meetings, I promise you, they're not saying, hey, here's Jane Smith. She started taking our drug here, and here's what her results have been. They can give a rat's ass about you or anyone else. They care about their bottom line. So here's the definition of gaslighting. To manipulate someone using psychological methods. Okay, period, end of story. So you're manipulating somebody, and how do they use those methods? Well, did you ever watch a TV commercial? And they have one that I've seen. I don't watch a lot of mainstream TV because I hate the commercials, but I've seen them. And they have one that like literally shows like this woman walking around, and she's got this like cartoon yellow smiley face turned upside down, and she's pretending to be happy, and she's pretending to be this, but deep inside she's depressed. And then she talks about her depression a little bit and this and that. And then they show the drug and they play the music. And then all of a sudden that up, down, upside down smile turns in. It's like the color of that picture behind me there. And they show the smiley face now. They show her laughing and all her friends, and they show flowers behind her and this sunlit, beautiful cafe, all the bullshit. And while that's all playing, on the bottom they say if you take this drug, your ears can fall off, and this could happen, and you might have side effects here. Don't take this drug if you're breathing. Don't take this drug if you're human. It doesn't say that, but it might as well say that. But they're gaslighting you into believing that that's the answer to your happiness. Or if you go to a family care doctor, who most of those people are wonderful people, and there's so many therapists out there who are trying to get people healthy. They're just not taught how in school. They're taught to diagnose and treat from these colleges that they're paying tens of thousands of dollars to go to. But guess what? Who's getting kickbacks? The media, the colleges are all getting money for studies, for this, for that. Here's $5 million for the new facility for mental health studies, and here's what we want you to teach. And they go to these media. They won't go after the pharmaceutical companies. There was a show on, I think on Hulu called Dope Sick with Michael Keaton and some really good actors in there. The kid that was in We're the Millers, that funny movie, Kenny, was in that movie. And it's all about the Oxycontin. This drug in the U.S. alone killed 500,000 people. 500,000 people in the mid-2000s, from late 90s to the mid-2000s and beyond. And it took a bunch of heroes to finally take them down, but now this company's doing business as usual in Europe. It's insane. You watch Dope Sick, your head will spin. But why wouldn't the media companies cover that story? Why wouldn't they go after this company? They're going after everybody, right? You storm the Capitol, it's the biggest crime in the world, but how about killing 500,000 people by getting them addicted to a drug that doesn't work, that only feeds the addiction until you're a shell, until you die. Take your own life or literally die. But they won't. You know why? Because the drug companies are financing the media companies. It is that simple. Always follow the money, guys. Always. So you're being gaslighted to think that, yes, the doctor, the white coat, that's our bridge of safety and health, right? And so many great doctors out there. I promise you, there's amazing, amazing doctors out there. But if a doctor's telling you, oh, here, you got anxiety? You know, they should say, go see Coach Mike or somebody like him that can get you healthy. They don't. They say, here's a drug. Take this drug. Now, I know people that self-medicate with gummies and marijuana and alcohol, right? We all know people that might have the addiction, or because they don't feel good and they're going to self-medicate with alcohol. What do you think the difference is when you're drugging yourself up every day? So these people hand out, it's a drug. It's not a medicine. They call them meds because what do they want you to do? You know, what do they call it? The Z-Pack that gets rid of a virus, or what do they call that? Antibiotic. That's a medicine because it's got an end game. You take this for 5 days, the virus is gone, right? So they're gaslighting you, just like they gaslighted. Everything they said about COVID has come out and said it's not true. It wasn't accurate, right? And these vaccines that were supposed to save everybody's lives, you're more at risk when you get the vaccine because it lowers your immune system. So everything they said, the shutdowns, it was all wrong. Treating people with the ventilators early on killed people. But that's what they said to do. So what do as zombie humans? We walk right into the light. This is not, we're going right into the gas chamber. Seriously. And we have been so indoctrinated in this world with believing what we're told by the media, by these 4 out of 5 doctors say to take Vyvanse when you're struggling with depression. It's all bullshit. And it's a drug. And once you get addicted to a drug, what do you want more of? The drug. Or, meditation is literally quieting the mind. And now literally thousands of people, since meditation's hit the mainstream, are trying to make money on meditation. Here's a guided meditation. Here's this, here's that. And you want to learn to meditate properly, it's quieting your mind. Just go learn and meditate and do it. You don't need a book to tell you how to meditate. You don't need a guided meditation program to pay for. Message me, I'll teach you how to meditate, but it's not going to get rid of your stress, anxiety. But we're also indoctrinated now and gaslighted into believing that stress is normal, that anxiety is part of raising kids. So if you speak to any wonderful young person, and our anxiety-free student, we work with nothing but wonderful kids who want to live a great life, and we get them there. But you talk to any young kid at 15, 18 years old who might already be stressed and anxious and so forth, but if you say, what do you want for your life? What do you want to do for your life? And they're going to say, I'd like to get an education. I'd like to get a career, right? And they think career making money. Find a career that you have fun in. Okay, but that's a different video. And you'll make money and you'll never live a bad day in your life. Somebody said to me today, I was at the bank and this branch manager, I was talking to her about some stuff, and she said, I looked at your program, I love it, and blah, 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 blah. I said, thank you. I said, I love doing it. She goes, I know you do. She goes, you really love your career. I said, I absolutely love it. I do it every minute of every day, and I love it. And she goes, it shows. Find that type of career. And I didn't early on. I didn't until my 30s. So, but the point is, guys, is you talk to any young person, they're going to tell you the life they want. They're not going to say, I want to have a family of 3 kids so I can stress over the to-do list every day. And then I'm going to argue with my spouse because we're so overwhelmed with all the chaos we've created, and they're working and I'm working, and nobody can take care of the kids, and we're barely making it financially. And then we get like 2 weeks vacation a year that we can like unplug and pretend everything is great and listen to the ways. But then we're going to go back to the rat race, and then we're going to do that. But then when our kids get older, we're gonna just bust our ass to put them through college, and then when they get there, and then we're gonna be 60, 62. Then we're gonna enjoy our life a little bit. We're still gonna be worried. No one does that. But no one says that's their goals. But everybody lives that way. And you're trying to keep things together with duct tape, and they're breaking apart and breaking apart and breaking apart, and you're like, what the hell is going on? This is not what I signed up for. But that's what you're gaslighted into being. Everybody thinks that stress is the price to pay for success. It's not. Everyone thinks worry and anxiety about kids and their schedule is not. And it's gotten worse because we're in this mode and as parenting for the last 25 years that our kids have to be like, when we were kids back in the Stone Age, we literally didn't have anything scheduled other than like Little League and football practice or basketball practice. Whatever season it was, that's the sport we played. And the girls, they did the same thing, whatever their sport was, volleyball and cheerleading, whatever it was. And we did that sport for that time. And we had practices. We didn't have play dates. We didn't have scheduled stuff. Nobody played travel, even though I like travel. And I think travel sports is great. But everything is. And then I've got to keep up with the Joneses. And it's like, why? Because we've been gaslighted to believe that that's what it is. What do influencers do? Influencers have you believing that your life will get better if you have this product. You will be a better person if you buy this shirt. Seriously, guys. It's insane. This social media, and everybody's hanging on to the idiot box. By the way, this is a cool story how I got the logo on the back of that phone. But everybody's gaslighted into believing that this is where you get the better life. This is where you get the better life. This is where you get the better life. Oh, and here, trust this doctor, trust this book, trust this thing, and externally you'll find the answers and you won't. And everybody believes it. You know why? Because it's psychological. Remember, psychological manipulation. And your mind and your brain believe what you keep telling it and what you keep hearing. The marketing people know that. The drug companies know it. And they know, give them more of this, give them more of this, give them more of this, and they will believe it. It's a manipulation. It's gaslighting. And when, Coach Mike comes walking up and saying, you don't have to suffer. I can promise you I'll get you through this in 4 to 8 weeks. 4 to 8 weeks, not 4 to 8 months with a maybe. It's 4 to 8 weeks with a money back guarantee. Okay, we implemented that a year and a half ago because you know what? We were tired of seeing people walk away because they didn't trust. And they didn't think, thought it was too good to believe, too good to be true. And that's what you believe because that's what you've been gaslighted into believing. So you've got to take a step back and say, whoa, I've been in therapy for 10 years. It's not working. And, every day, starting from the time I was 28 until now that I'm 40, every day I've got to manage the anxiety, manage the stress, prop myself up through the overwhelm, through the depression, through the fatigue, the burnout. I'm going to prop myself up and pretend every day. And how long am I going to do this? Well, as long as I have to, because that's just what life is. Life's tough and then you die. And that's a crock of bullshit. Okay, and I'm here to tell you that firsthand. Everything you seek, the success, money, wealth, happiness, fulfillment, connection, affection, peace, gratitude, everything is inside of you already to experience that. I don't want to sound like some cheesy self-help guy, but I mean, your mind is capable. You don't have to go anywhere to experience happiness. You have to know how to train your mind to be happy. You don't go anywhere. You don't have to take a drug to get out of depression. You're in depression. Oh, it's another thing we're gaslighted into. Oh my God, I forgot one of the big ones. It's hereditary. Yep, well, if your mom had depression, was there depression in your family? Well, that must be genetics. It's not genetics. That's such bullshit. It's conditioned. If I take the baby and I raise the baby in England, the baby's going to speak with a beautiful, wonderful British accent. Hey, Marion, how are you, stud? She's awesome. And if you take that same baby and you raise it in Texas, it's probably going to come a little bit of a country drawl, right? We are conditioned by our environments. So if you grew up in a family with mom is depressed, or there's depression and mom's mom had depression and mom's had depression, well, you're going to have depression too, okay? Because that's just the way it works, because the subconscious mind conditions itself to its environment. So if you have yellers and screaming in the family, you're going to grow up to either be afraid of everything because you've been surrounded by yellers and screamers as a kid, you shrunk down, okay, or you're going to grow up to be a yeller and a screamer yourself. We are conditioned in our environment, right? Period, end of story. If you grew up in a happy family who's supportive, who's loving, who teaches you how to have success and not worry about failure, and just know that just do your best and work hard and everything, you're going to grow up, you're going to raise a confident young person who's going to really crush life. Everything that you're experiencing is literally because of what you've experienced in your life. Most of the stuff you don't even remember. You don't remember when your parents were fighting when you were 3 years old and it scared the hell out of you. You don't remember that consciously, but your subconscious remembers it. Did you ever hear a song that you haven't heard in 25 years? And all of a sudden it comes out, it's like, oh my God, I forgot this song ever existed. I used to love this song. And then you listen to a song and you know every word, every inflection, everything in the song. You know it like you heard it yesterday and you hadn't heard it in 2.5 decades. Happened to me recently. There's a song called Pop Goes the World and I hadn't heard it in a long time. And it came on Sirius and I'm like, oh my God. So what did I do? I downloaded it. It's on my playlist now because I forgot about it, but I knew every word because I listened to it 4,000 times, right? 25, 30 years ago. So that's how the mind works. You're nothing more than a product of everything you've ever experienced. And today that what's playing out in your life is a byproduct of all that stuff. And then we become self-fulfilling prophets based on what we've been gaslighted. Okay, like people ask me all the time, what's your credentials? Because they want to see that certificate on the wall. Rajneesh, how are you, buddy? What happened to you? I thought you were moving forward with other things. Anyway, reach out to me. Say hello, buddy. You're awesome. And we are literally somebody asked me, what are your credentials? And I said, well, besides the thousands of people that I've got healthy, off prescription drugs, out of anxiety, out of panic attacks, out of depression, and I've got videos and testimonials to prove it. Other than that, what do you need? I'm the guy, right? I'm the guy that can do that. For whatever reason, God gifted me with this, but he put me through hell. He put me through this boot camp in life that was a lot of times nice and wonderful and 3 great kids, or still great kids, he put me through this hell, man, in my life. And but I appreciate this life so much more. And then when a client comes to me and says, Mike, I can't function. I've got stress, anxiety, I can't sleep. And I say, yeah, I used to call that the every day that ends in Y. And I've lost everything. Check, been there too. Had terrible relationship. Yep, check, been there too. Have conflict in my life. Check, got that box checked. Everything. I had a client yesterday in my advanced program who was overwhelmed with a move coming up. And I said, well, when I got divorced, I had to do this move, and I ended up having to do it by myself because the moving company crapped out. And here's what I did. And here's how you should classify it. And he goes, holy shit, that's the answer. Thank you. He goes, I really appreciate that advice. I said, yeah, I've been through everything. I get it. So I've been through the hell that you're in. If you're a committed professional or successful, and let me talk about the alternative to that person. But if you're a committed professional or executive, and you're living the life I described in hell and stressed, and wake up with your to-do list, and or even starting on Sunday that you're dreading the week ahead, and then you wake up with this to-do list and this choke that's just squeezing the life out of you, and then you go to this vortex in your office of negativity and bullshit, and then of course the customer and this new problem and that new problem. You're always going to have challenges in your life, period, end of story. Always. If you're participating and performing in life, you're going to have challenges. Get used to it. But if you let them swallow you up, you'll never get through it. And you think that this is a race until you get to retirement age and then you can enjoy a few years. By that time, you're going to be so bogged down with stress and bullshit that your life's going to be a shell. But if you're that person and you keep trying what you've been gaslighted to believe and it's not working, the self-help industries, the walking on coals and all the bullshit, come this weekend and I'm going to just change your life. No, you can't. It's impossible. Because to change your mind, it takes some time. That's why I say 4 to 8 weeks. But if you think you're going to go to a weekend and walk on coals and transform your life, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You might feel better for it. It's going to be a great show, but you can't. You need the tools, you need the accountability, you need the follow-up. And yes, maybe 1 out of every 2,000, maybe 5,000, 10,000 people that go to those events can encyclopedia on that knowledge and put every single piece into practice. But those people teaching you have spent years to get where they're at. We're in a weekend. I have live events and people are inspired, but I follow up with them for 100 straight days of not straight days, but 100 days of communication from me to make sure they're implementing what I taught them. That's how you enact change, and that's the commitment I have to my clients. My inner circle, they get a Voxer message, a voice message from me every single day to motivate them, to keep them on track, to teach them, to guide them. That's commitment. See if these big shooting self-help guys would, send a handful of people a message every day to keep them motivated, because I care about people's lives. But if you're that person that's been grinding through to get to the next day every single day, and then on the weekends, you're so bogged down that you can't even communicate, and you can't be the dad or mom you want for your kids, or maybe you are, but then you jump right back into the fray on Monday and say, that's just the cost of success. Yeah, I have ADHD. I can't focus. I can't concentrate. My blood pressure's through the roof, but man, life is great. It's a bunch of bullshit. It's going to get you sooner or later. And you could be doing it, but all the while internally, man, things are popping, things are snapping. All of a sudden you get this, illness or infection or injury. It's like, how did that happen? It happened because you stressed your mind so much that the mind snapped the body, and that's the way things work. Your mind can't take all that crap. Okay, you need to get rid of what I call that resistance. Then you can relax and be your best self. And how about the other side of the coin? That life has beaten you up so bad that you can't function anymore, and you become the victim. And how much is your program? Oh, I don't know if I can afford that, but I'm going to get the new iPhone, and I'm going to pay X number of dollars every month, or I'm going to get this. I'm taking my kids on vacation for $6,000 because you know what? That's just Disney World. That's just what it costs. But you don't value yourself, and use every frickin' excuse to stay there, and that's tragic too, because you have somebody. Everybody has somebody counting on them, whether it's an employer, employees, a spouse, loved one, siblings, family, kids, whatever. Friends, right? Who suffer when you suffer, right? Don't you love that? When the people say, well, I got this person depending on me, and this person's a messenger depending on me, and it's just wearing me down. Empower them. We'll get you all healthy, so you can all just dance around on vacations and make a shit ton of money. How's that sound for your life? But you've got to value your life. And many of you in this group, I know that that's where you're at, where you're not working, or you're not working the job you deserve to work, or you're just existing through life. You think that was the point? You think that's the point to life? And I got news for you. Behind all the bullshit excuses, behind all the fog in your brain, behind all the impossibility and the limiting beliefs and everything else that you tell yourself every day, cloaked in anxiety, stress, overwhelm, burnout, even depression, behind all the bullshit is a great human being that is capable of so much more. You know why I know? Because that was me. Okay, all the excuses, all the things I needed that didn't have, and all the people that weren't there for me, all the bullshit. And behind all that stuff was somebody who had some greatness in him. And this is my definition of how to experience the greatness, is through the work I do. and an occasional decent golf round. But I'm telling you, when you get rid of all that crap, you're going to discover the true you. It's cloaked in the bright light, right? Infinite intelligence, God, whatever you believe in. But life has just buried all that shit. And yeah, it's going to take some time for us to get you out of that. But what's your life worth? And take action and stop believing the bullshit out there. It's not working. Look around you, right? And this was the point of this live, and I forgot about it. I read this People magazine because I was pissed that I wasn't the sexiest man in the world. Okay, again, this is 40th year in a row that I didn't get it. But in there, I grabbed this, and here's why I bought this magazine, because in the back is a crossword puzzle, and you can see I filled a crossword puzzle. I was traveling, and every time I'm in the airport, I grab a People magazine, and I do the crossword puzzle. So you can't take your computer out like while you're going up, and I usually watch a movie. So I got this, and I noticed this article, and it said, Massachusetts mom, and this is tragic, kills her 3 young children. And I looked at that headline, and I said, what the? Yep, and I said, I guarantee you she was on prescription drugs. I read the article a week ago. And sure enough, beautiful mom, beautiful family. These kids are just were absolutely gorgeous. And guess what? Mom dealt with anxiety her whole life and had, what do they call that? Postpartum depression, which of course is just an emotional low that they blame on the pregnancy because the mom was so high during the pregnancy and she wasn't already emotionally stable, right? She's had ups and downs, bipolar, whatever you want to label it. It's just an emotional charge. So and then when the birth of the baby came down, and the big letdown was like the day after Christmas for kids. It's like, oh, I was just building it up for 6 weeks, now it's over. And that's what happens. So then what does mom do? Goes to a doctor, goes to a therapist. And what do? They drug her up, and her mind snaps, and she strangles out her 3 young children and jumps herself off of a 3 or 2-story building and paralyzes herself and tries to kill herself, doesn't succeed, and dad comes home to this view. And guess who's not going to be held responsible? The jagoffs. Yep, the jagoffs that supplied the medicine, the drugs to her. They're not going to be held responsible. And that's the frickin' gaslighting that I'm talking about. And yeah, it pisses me off. Every day I see this shit. Young college students, young kids. I heard of a 3-year-old taking trazodone or something recently. I'm like, you got to be out of your effing mind to do this. And this happened in our lives too. A woman we know tried to choke out her son because she snapped with prescription drugs, and now she's dealing with that aftermath. Thank God the child's still alive. She's alive. And what I knew as soon as I heard about it, her husband reached out to me, and I said, the drugs. Did she take any drugs recently for mental health, as they call it? And he goes, yeah. They gave her something about 3 weeks ago, and because she was so anxious. And he goes, I told her to reach out to you. She didn't, and she snapped. And that's what this shit goes. So guys, it's going to get you sooner or later. And a lot of you could take these prescription drugs and things and function and be okay and not have a psychotic episode. How do you know, though? How do you know? If you had a vial of heroin there and somebody said, hey, take that heroin and make you feel good, it will. It'll make you feel something. I've never taken heroin. I don't know what, but I know that people that take heroin like it. So, and guess what? Or meth or pot or coke. It's going to come at a cost sooner or later. And the same thing with the prescription drugs. Same thing with the other distractions you're doing, the cigarettes, the gambling, the food, or whatever. Guys, you're being lied to. You're being gaslighted. Okay? And you're being told to believe things that just aren't true. And a thought repeated over and over and over, followed by data, which is bullshit. That's how you develop a belief. It's just a reoccurring way of thinking. And they are literally gaslighting you to think this way. And you've got to pull yourself out, or let me pull you out of it. Okay, or our team or whatever. And say, wake up, man. Wake up, because you're being lied to. You are being gaslighted into believing that's the way it is. And it's destroying this world. Okay, there's more kids. There's 70% of students in college are anxious or depressed. 70%. That number should be maybe 7% tops. But that's the way they've been conditioned, because they're up against all the other students. They're trying to get into the greatest colleges, doing all shit, so you can overpay for this education that you find on YouTube or in a library, right? Will Damon or Matt Damon was right in Good Will Hunting. You're paying $100,000 plus for an education. I can get in the library, and it's true. I'm a mental health. I'm the best in the world at what I do. I didn't go to college for this. Okay, I was in the hospitality industry. And I can promise you this, that no one understands the mind and human behavior better than me. They might tell you, the doctors with all the things, and say, oh yeah, well, it's because of it's bullshit. Put your track record against mine, and I'll put my track record against any one of them. And I take people that were just done with life, and I give them their life back. And so you're being lied to, you're being gaslighted. Sorry for my my emotions today, but it pisses me off. Wake up, snap. I don't care where your life is. If you're a successful professional that wants to get to the next level, but the stress, the anxiety, the overwhelm, it's just eating you up every day, then let's get rid of it. Stop believing. If you're doing something that doesn't work, then don't do it anymore. Okay? And when I say to somebody, I get you healthy in 4 to 8 weeks, you don't have 4 to 8 weeks of your life to get healthy for the rest of your life, to pay dividends the next 40 years of your life. Snap out of it. Okay? And if you're somebody that is so beaten down in life that you can't even see straight, I get it. And I empathize with you. But I'm not going to sit and talk to you about it all day. And that's what therapy does. Let's talk about your problems. Tell me about the week. And then at the end I say, well, why don't you breathe a little bit? Here's a journal. Why don't you write your feelings and thoughts down? And I'll see you next week. It's not going to help. And how long you have to go to therapy until you realize this therapist isn't working? Because the solution's it. So I'll listen to you once, find out where you're at. More importantly, find out where you want to go. And then we're going to bust our ass to get you there. Okay, because you're going to pay me to get you healthy, to give you a life of freedom and success and wealth and abundance. And if you do what I tell you to do, and you do what my team tells you to do, you're going to have it. Period, end of story. Or, you can just keep being a victim every day and watching the stories on TV and getting the drugs and getting this, self-help and all this shit that doesn't work. Okay, so just wake up. You're being gaslighted. You're being lied to, and it's rampant, and everyone believes it. Okay, and it makes my head spin. So now if you saw this video, you know there's an answer out there. And if you've got somebody in your life living this way, or you're living this way, or you know of a friend who's living that way, and you don't do something about it by showing this video or introducing them to me or my team, then shame on you. All right, guys? I hope you enjoyed this video. Talk to you soon.